Food security is an illusion. We have never ever in the history of humankind had food security. I suppose we have more food security now than we have ever had in history. That's the truth of it. Recent shortages in the UK shops, the UK supermarkets, shortages of things like tomatoes and peppers, which come from Spain, have kind of hit the news and had an awful lot of people whinging, and there's been an awful lot of blame pointed in various directions. And it got me thinking about food security. What can you do about that? I mean, that could be quite worrying if you are the worrying kind, and I certainly am. But anyway, what can you do about that? If you don't have a garden, or if indeed your life is just so busy that you cannot grow your own food. Let's just put this in perspective. We have 7 acres here, and I have I think it's a 15-meter square vegetable garden. Am I self-sufficient in vegetables? No. No, I'm not. I'm also retired, which in theory means that I have all the time in the world to devote to my garden. And some years I spend more time on it than others, but I have never, ever been totally self-sufficient in vegetables. This is my vegetable garden here. Needs a little bit of attention. And it's going to be a nice day today, so I'm going to get out. And I will do some work. The broad beans that I planted have mostly come up, which is great. Ooh, my peach. My peach is coming into blossom. More broad beans down there. And the nectarine is coming into blossom. More broad beans, more broad beans. Yeah, look, see. Onions actually do not like weeds. So I'm going to have to get in and do a bit of weeding, but I'll wait till the sun's on that because it's a bit damp at the moment. But most of the cauliflower and broccoli, oh no, look, there's still a cauliflower here. Yeah, that one, a bit spoiled by the look of it. There's a few broccoli florets here. Yeah, I should take those in as well. That cabbage is hearting up nicely, I'm pleased with that. The red ones are a bit slower. That's an iceberg lettuce. That one seems to be doing all right. These, surprisingly enough, survived the winter. Food security. Let's say you haven't got a garden. There was something in The Guardian the other day about food security, and I think they suggested that everybody have a window box and grow their vegetables in a window box. Again, I am a big fan of people growing something to eat, and I'm always saying, yeah, you should do that. But let's get real. Let's say you have 4 or 6 windows that are suitable for growing something on, and you take an average size window box. You might get a few carrots, maybe 2, possibly 3 meals worth. If you're a vegetarian, that might be your entire meal, so in that case it might be 1. Large pot of soup, perhaps, carrot soup. Is that food security? No, it isn't. That's 1 meal. Yes, you definitely should get a window box and you should grow something to eat. It is a joyous experience, and it's not feasible that absolutely everybody grow their own food. This is why we have farmers and agricultural workers. That's their job, is to grow food so that they free up the rest of the people to go out and do other stuff. You know, that's how we have managed to put men on the moon and satellites in space and have the internet and cure diseases and all this other kind of stuff, is because we don't have to spend, everybody doesn't have to spend all day looking for their food. The supply chain is really quite precarious, and that was evident as soon as the pandemic hit. I think it was a bit of a shock for a lot of people just how precarious things are. Events in one part of the world that have a chain reaction that will affect you in your home. Well, obviously you need a reasonable pantry. You need a little store of food. I'm not talking about a prepper's pantry. I'm not talking about storing a year's worth of food or 2 years worth of food in case the entire planet goes into meltdown and there is no more food. Because you see, I personally do not believe that that will ever be a scenario. Yeah, there may be shortages of different things from time to time. There were all these pictures in the paper of empty shelves where the tomatoes and the peppers would be, and it became like a catastrophe. Like, everybody was like, oh my god, there's no peppers, there's no tomatoes. The shops were brimming full of food. It's not that there was no food. There was plenty food. There just weren't tomatoes and peppers. And this is a mindset that we are in, that if we can't get what we want when we want it, we stamp our feet and chuck all our toys out the pram and go, blah. I think we have to look at ourselves and change the way we think, and maybe be a little bit more flexible about what we eat. I mean, if you're trying to be self-sufficient, that's something you learn very, very quickly. You know, you have all of this vegetables, and you may have, I don't know, a ton of broad beans, but you've got nothing for dinner, unless you make a rather unusual meal. And that's kind of what you have to do. It would be reasonable to perhaps have one cupboard or 1 or 2 shelves in your cupboard of backup food. Especially if you've got a freezer as well, because the freezer is amazing for that. You can put backup food in the freezer. You only have to have food security for a week or 2. At the most, maybe a month. I cannot think of a situation, barring the entire meltdown of the world, where the shops would have no food at all for more than a month. So a few tins of soup, maybe some tins with meat or fish in them, some frozen food. I'm talking about coping for 2 or 3 weeks until things sort themselves out. Don't forget dried food like beans and lentils and barley and stuff like that for your pantry shelf. You can make some very substantial meals from those. What about the toilet paper scenario? I mean, this isn't food security, but people obviously felt very insecure at the start of the pandemic as regards toilet paper. We have to change the way we think, I suppose. I guess what I'm trying to say is, don't panic. Don't worry about it too much. Put a few extra things in your cupboard and be prepared to have some unusual meals and to perhaps eat a little bit less than you normally would. It's short term. Take care, everybody, and I'll see you the next time. Bye now.